The following podcast may be explicit. Shedcast presents Adventures from the Shed, a tabletop RPG podcast. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com. Welcome back and pull up a seat to join our gaming table in the shed. Shadrock and Fritzy decide to go together for the meeting with the king as we continue our Dungeon World campaign, Perils of Parandisi. Enjoy the podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Shed for Adventures from the Shed. You can find us online at iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, Stitcher Radio, Google Community. We're out there. Welcome back. We're doing our Dungeon World campaign, The Perils of Parandisi. We're going to go around the table and say hi. We're going to start with Mickie.
Mickie! Hi, everyone. This is Mickie. I will be playing the thief of the group, Damaya. And as you can tell, I'm a bit under the weather, so you'll have to bear with me for the next 3 episodes.
Sexy cold voice.
I've got my sexy phlegmy voice on.
Nice.
Go on, Mr. Stevens.
Mr. Stevens here, otherwise known as JJ. I will be playing Strong Dawn the Barbarian. And a poxy was thrown on me as well, and I shared it with my wife because, that's what...
Epoxy is glue.
No, epoxy. P-O-X-Y.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thesaurus. Moving on.
Right? I think the mental picture is better with epoxy.
I think he got him right in the cervix.
And over to Kurt.
Hey, this is Kurt. I am not a Prince of the Apocalypse or an Elemental, but I am playing Shadrock, the druid in this Dungeon World campaign.
And this is Mike playing Snicklefritz Bombus, Fritzy to his friends and everyone pretty much, the wizard. And I'm thinking that if Joe's dog Jack was on our websites, we would have more comments.
Oh, he's so cute.
He is a cute little dog.
And I'm Joe. I'm the game master for this Dungeon World game. Before we kick it back to Mike for a recap, just want to let everyone know that it has been probably 4 weeks since we recorded our last Dungeon World session, so bear with us as we struggle to remember what happened last, and we've put it all on Mike's head. Go ahead.
All right. So, where we left off in Dungeon World, we followed the king to the west side of town and broke into his meeting, where him and his doubles ran off. And after a bunch of pandemonium, as Kurt said, Damaya was able to talk her way into the king's carriage, where she got a ride back to town while the other guys searched the hideout under the sewing shop, and they found these papers that seemed to link the Red Hands with a bunch of evictions. So
people who were in arrears on their taxes.
Yes. And so Strong Dawn and Fritzy went back to the Frazzled Mermaid while Kurt turned into an owl and followed the wagon, not the wagon, the carriage. Kings don't ride in wagons.
Fancy wagons are carriages.
Wait, he rode out as a farmer in a wagon, right?
Yeah, I guess he was still dressed as the farmer.
He was in the king's carriage at the time. Yeah.
But
and when they left the masquerade, the ball, he was the king when he left, right?
And in her trying to put down Fritzy, she actually managed to...
She totally did that.
Reverse psychology, man.
Make a meeting for Fritzy and the king the next day, because the king loves Fritzy.
The king is enamored with Fritz, what's his name?
Yep. And
definitely.
Then she got kicked out of the carriage, and her and Shady went back to the inn where they all looked over their respective papers, and then they found a possible link between a murdered woman and the Red Hand evictions. So there could be some shady action going on and not just Shadrock related.
Slim shady action. All right, so we're going to pick it up there. From what I recall, our last scene was the party in the Frazzled Mermaid, having breakfast, reading Kingsbury Today newspaper, and seeing the news article about Phyllis Smith being found dead in her home on the west side of town. and that rang a bell, and it was a name that had been marked with that RH123 code on the tax forms. So at that point, we need to know. So later today, there's the 2 p.m. tea time that Fritzy has with the king.
Right.
How are we proceeding from breakfast to then?
Well, I mean, in a meeting with the king, I'm going to dress in as nice clothes as I possibly can and do my best to make Shadrock look presentable as I'm going to say a manservant. But hopefully he's fine with that. So
Anything for Fritzy, baby.
Anything. All right, so let me... what else are y'all doing? Demaya and Strong Dawn.
Demaya is going to grab some breakfast, maybe get a facial, manicure. It's been a while. It's been a long road.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a good way to spend the morning.
And I think Strong Dawn, he wants to try to figure out like what Belinda's schedule looks like. Like where, so talk to someone that knows her scheduling.
Alrighty. So what we'll say as far as Fritzy goes and dressing as nice as he can, if he's going to try and dress like a noble, it probably costs about 200 coins worth of clothing to dress like a noble.
Good God, man.
However,
God.
to dress like upper class of the city is probably about 50.
okay.
Like regular clothing is about 10 coins to fully outfit yourself from head to toe. But if you want to start dressing upscale, then you're getting the better tailors, the better clothing, and it's going to cost about 50 to dress upscale, but in the hundreds to dress as a noble.
All right. Since I think that Fritz can probably get away with it, I think we'll go with the $50 clothes instead of the $200 clothes.
Okay.
And then we'll dress Shady the same way.
All right.
Excellent.
How's Shadrock feel about being dressed in some fine silks and linens?
It's going to be very, very unnatural for me, but I'm going to do my best to quietly play the part.
Yeah, 'cause
I
you're
even
usually
put back your wild hair in a ponytail. And
It's much better than the burlap sack he normally wears.
yeah.
Is it
Well,
all slicked down with like...
and we have to remember, Fritzy's one of the few people that Shadrock is comfortable with. I mean, he likes these other two, but he's not doesn't understand them as well. He's intrigued by Fritzy. He wants to learn from Fritzy, so he's going to try to do his best to kind of watch and learn.
Cool. That makes sense.
Fritzy's got that animal magnetism.
And
Shady
hey,
appreciates.
he's an animal. Go figure.
A certain je ne sais quoi.
So what we'll do from there then is we're going to skip ahead a little, and we're going to let Demaya get her pedicure, manicure, spa treatment.
It's a girly.
What does that
Strong
look
on-
like in Dungeon World?
In
Yeah, that's a
Dungeon
good
World,
question.
what's
You
it
need to
like?
describe that.
Well, I mean, she has to go to like the local beautician, the local shop, and see what they have. Sorry, I had to wipe my nose.
Who does that?
That's
Dwarves?
And forgive us as several coughs happened during the night.
Well,
as
they're all humans, right? So whoever the local beautician is, and I guess it would have like little kids or not little kids. This isn't like
Oh, it's
slave
just- oh,
labor.
Oh, good God.
Like
I think
young
it would be
people
great if elves
working,
were working in the beautician.
you know?
Why not?
And they would have like serums and potions that they'd rub on her face,
A
and she'd
natural
relax.
hot spring for a sauna.
Yeah, natural hot
yeah.
spring for like a hot bath, and she'd get massaged and done up. They'd powder her face, do her hair.
There would be aromatherapy for sure.
Well, this is a small village. I don't know if they'd have.
Oh no,
aromatherapy
this
like
is
they
you're
do
in
in
Kingsbury,
I mean-
capital of the world.
Kingsbury.
You're
Oh, yeah.
traveling with an aromatherapy expert. It's
Incense, at least. Yeah,
This is true.
Shadrock might have an even harder time with that than with the clothes.
You might.
You're not allowed anywhere near the beautician shop that I stay at.
Wait, why
Strong Dawn, because you'd like just mess up my whole morning. I'd get all relaxed and all massaged out, and then I'd have to deal with your loincloth and your stench.
Well,
I
Strong
can
Dawn would
picture
be
him with like little bows in his beard, though.
Yeah.
Strong Dawn would be going off seeking the onion vendor anyway, because he was your contact when you arrived in the city.
Yeah.
So that's where he would be off to. So chances are he's getting a little bit of a different aromatherapy, as it were. He might be coming back smelling of produce, while you'll be smelling of lavender.
And true to her nature, she's going to be scoping out the rich ladies at the beautician shop to see who her next mark's going to be.
I like that.
So why else would she go there?
Planning ahead.
Because this is something Demaya knows about spout lore.
Okay.
You roll it. That's plus intelligence.
Yay.
Whoa.
Start.
Oh, snap.
That's a 12.
A 12. Okay. You clearly spot and spark up delightful conversation with one of the ladies in the shop that you can tell just the rocks on her hands are worth hundreds of gold.
Oh, yeah. She likes this lady
Yeah, she
a
does.
lot. She's
Okay.
going to make friends.
And while we proceed with the other stuff, think of her name.
Okay.
So we'll skip over to the meeting with the king. You guys are going to arrive well dressed.
Yep.
Not necessarily to the level of the king himself, but that's good because you probably don't want to upstage him.
Right.
Right. You arrive, and his knight, the one you recognize from your carriage ride with him, that was pretty much like an advisor for him, the one that told him it was time to get out and go about his business. That guy meets you right outside of the keep proper and escorts you in to where the King Glorin is found. And he is at a long table, one of the long, huge banquet tables with 20 chairs on each side, and he's sitting at one end of it, and where he's sitting is set up several places. His advisor sits down and offers you 2 chairs next to the king.
All right.
So it's going to be 5 people total.
As I move up to the king, I pull out the other bottle of really fine wine that I picked up
okay.
because I gave the one
basement wine. Yep.
to my buddy Skinny John,
Yep.
and I have the other one, and I'm going to present him with this bottle, and I would like to, after he takes it, if he's appreciative, I'd like to shake his hand in the bowing manner so I could possibly
Okay.
put the charm on him again.
Okay, so as far as that goes, yes, so the regular formal greetings are out of the way. The advisor introduces himself, introduces the 2 of you to the king. The king has that spark of recognition of Fritzy from the evening before, welcomes your friend, and the other person sitting at the table is dressed as a knight, but is silent the entire time. And the advisor is the one who talks, and after the introductions are exchanged, you offer up the wine. The king is very appreciative. He says, "This is great. We haven't had this vintage here in years. This will be a delightful addition to our time together." And he hands it over to the advisor and would shake your hand.
Okay, so I shake his hand, and I'm going to put the charm on him just to make sure that the meeting goes well.
Because he has 2 people there watching, I need you to do a dexterity roll first.
Okay.
And this is to defy the danger of them spotting what you're doing.
All right.
It's kind of the way we did it at the Masquerade Ball as well.
Come on,
So
Fritzy.
we'll start there.
Oh, it's a fail.
That's a fail. Okay.
I
Now
don't have dex.
roll to cast your spell.
6.
All right. So he's still going to bow down anyway. So, but
Make sure you mark
hopefully.
experience, by
Yeah.
the way. And as a
I failed the spell.
all right. So as a note
Wow.
for those listening,
Gonna be one of those nights.
in between our sessions, our characters leveled too, so we might hear some new skills or powers, or as they are in Dungeon World, they're called moves. We might hear those come up as we're going. Okay, so here's what we're going to do.
That was awesome, Fritzy. Well done. bud.
Wow, that started exactly how I wanted.
You cast the spell, and it is clear by the way his hand twitches when you grab him that something is amiss. He noticed something. And the man who was sitting off to the side and not saying anything, he kind of moves his chair back a little but doesn't do anything. And then the king says, please be seated. Let's move on to our hors d'oeuvres and all of the little finger foods and snacks that are laid about the table. And he just starts up the conversation. So, your wife, I believe it was, said that you wanted to have a meeting with me today. Can you elaborate on what it is you're here for?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that we met at that party last night, but I heard the weirdest thing about Chancellor Belinda, and I wanted to bring it to you, and I also sort of I have concerns because I do a lot of business down near the docks, and they have concerns. But first,
tell me, Mr. Snickle, what business do you have along the docks?
Well, I am somewhat of a merchant, and
in the import-export business?
Yes. That's how I got the fine wine.
Well, that's great.
So
yeah, most of this wine had been stolen years ago.
Well, we're very good at recovering the wine.
Okay.
So anyway, I heard that Chancellor Belinda was saying the rudest things against Your Majesty, to the point where I think that I heard that she was affiliated with, I want to say the Red Hands. I don't know their business, but I have people that they say that they recognize her from this thing, that it just sounds shady. It sounds really shady. And then all the people are saying how that she is going around and talking to the common people and saying how blaming you for like high taxes and poor imports, and it is I can't believe it, Your Majesty. I can't believe that you would be involved at all with this stuff.
So when you mentioned the Red Hand, and you said Red Hands, when you mentioned that, both his advisor and the other guy clearly react to that phrase being said, the king does not. And then he would respond to you, that's just rumors. We've heard that type of thing for a while. But, of course, taxes do need to be raised. We need to run a kingdom here, and the population is growing, so we need the money to provide the services to everybody. And that's just the business of running a kingdom.
Well, I can totally understand
what
that.
What does your friend have to say about this? You, boy.
Yes, Your Majesty. I'm here with my esteemed companion out of concern for the kingdom and fear that anyone who might be fermenting revolt and not known to you could be a problem for the throne, and we're here to discuss it with you and possibly offer our services.
What type of services could you offer to the king?
Well, I mean, we also hear that there might be a hideout for these Red Hand people.
A hideout, you say?
Up the trail toward, on the way to St. Angelique. And I tell him the approximate place where I think it was, and
there was a shed there.
Yeah.
Shed. It was a shack. This is a shed.
And
so he'll cut in. He's the king. He's going to cut in whenever he wants. So the interruptions are more from the king perspective. And at this point, while he's doing this, so they're taking away some of the finger foods. They're bringing out a nice steaming vegetable soup that smells delicious. You, young man, what have you heard of this shack in the woods?
Your Majesty, we've heard, although we don't know that these rumors are
just
true.
as a refresher, typically people in the realm refer to him as my king. Now, you can refer to him however you like, but everyone else will refer to him as my king.
My king.
There you go. Yeah, just as a refresher, it's been a while.
Sorry.
But that was something one of the very few specific things I came up with, so I'm sticking with it.
My king, we've heard from sources, some of whom may be trustworthy and some of whom may not, that there's been people on the road between here and Angelique who have harassed and or attacked travelers, particularly those who appear to be of greater wealth or perhaps of higher nobility, and have reason to suspect that they may have congregated or may be congregating at or near this shack.
And with St. Angelique recovering from the attack that we helped fend off.
St. Angelique, a fine monastery. They
Yes.
supply us with plenty of mead and spirits.
Yes, and I would hate for the spirit trade to be burdened by this Red Hand menace. especially now that they've got their feet under them after they vanquished those demons.
My king, while Belinda's connection to the Red Hand may or may not be real, it's fairly well known that these people, rebels that they may be, are operating not far outside your walls, with or without your consent.
So, outside of my walls, you say. Outside of my walls, I have no need to deal with them. Inside, though, I have a concern. You mentioned the Chancellor. She is a friend of the people, and she is has been very loyal to myself and my servants. Therefore, I am not specifically inclined to believe you, first off. I would need to hear more about this. What else can you share?
Well, a source close to us also believes that Chancellor Belinda's husband is the leader of the Red Hands.
Okay. Her husband, you say?
Yes.
The Chancellor does not have a husband.
Well, then she might not be as upfront to you as you may believe. He is
Interesting. That the Chancellor has been a widow of, I think it's going on 15 years now.
Well, I mean, we met this person.
Met him, you say?
Yes.
And where would that be?
He was...
Delicious soup, is it not?
Yeah, he was over right outside the party the other day.
Okay. He was at the party, you say?
Yeah. He had a
what
long,
was he dressed as?
He had a long, dark beard. Sort of looked well-to-do, somewhat shady.
You keep saying shady. I keep thinking of Shadrock. He turns to his advisor on his left and he says, Simon, do you recognize someone of that stature and look at the party? And Simon says, no, my king, I do not. Okay. Hold on. Bear with me a second. I'm exchanging a note with Mickie here. What is that? Huh? Sir. Oh, you have a circle over the eye. You're such a girl. And at that point, the king turns to the other man who hasn't said anything at this point. And he says, Gene, I would like you to leave us now. And that man nods. He stands up and he walks out of the room. And once he's walked out of the room, it's one of those where both the king and Simon the advisor watch him walk out of the room, and as soon as the door closes on the other side, the king turns to you both, and he says, you must kill Belinda. If I am to believe you, you must kill her.
And this would be totally sanctioned by the king, and we would not
at
get
all.
in trouble by...
I can assure you that the knights would not bring you to justice, but you are on your own otherwise.
Well, if it is Your Majesty's wishes, we do have men of means in...
It is my wish. This meeting is concluded. Simon, show them to the door. And the king gets up, turns, his little cape flips around behind him, and he walks out. And Simon stands and waits for you.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
Thank you, my king.
And you hear not another word from him. Simon ushers you out of the keep proper. And at which point he clicks his heels and goes back inside. And you are now outside of the keep. And during this time, for those listening, just so you know, I did something a little different this time. While we had Fritzy and Shadrock meeting with the king, I actually had a separate email communication to both Mickie and JJ for Demaya and Strong Dawn, and they were contacted outside. So what I'd like to say as far as just moving this forward here is let's just have everyone meet back up. Right. And you all have information now that the others didn't have. Go.
All right. So we had our meeting with the king.
So how'd it go?
It was delicious food. It really was.
It was
so
possibly the best vegetable and pasta soup you have ever had.
Yes. We got to get that on the menu here, or anything that's not fried mozzarella sticks on the menu.
The frazzled mermaid is all like Denny's appetizers.
But he heard what we had to say. He had a request though at the end, which is sort of strange for the king. He wants us to kill Belinda.
What?
Well, I mean, he requested it, and I thought, hey, Damaya doesn't really like Belinda because she's sort of shady, and hey,
he keeps saying shady.
Shadrock or Strong Dawn, he's a helper, so.
What's a little assassination?
Yeah,
among
I mean,
friends?
we would
See,
be.
what's interesting though is Belinda has evidence that she's has witnesses that placed the king red-handed at a murder.
Multiple murders.
Huh.
Yeah. So kind of interesting that he wants to off Belinda.
Well, we live in some complicated times. And also, there seemed like there were like 4 of the kings, so maybe like other kings are just like really not good people, and our king is really good people.
So you're suggesting there's more than one king in Kingsbury?
Well, we saw the king and his doubles run off, and they looked exactly like him. So maybe they were just saw one of the doubles do something like kill someone, because it doesn't seem like something the king would do.
Kurt, because of who you are as the druid, I'm going to ask you to make a roll that I normally don't do. I don't normally ask players to just make a roll out of the blue, but I'd like you to make a wisdom roll. And tell me what you end up with.
4 plus 3.
7. Okay.
It's going to be one of those nights where we all roll 2s and 3s.
Speak for yourself. I got a 12.
More than once on your trip back to the Frazzled Mermaid, I'm going to say that's where you guys met up. We'll just say it makes it easy. More than once on your trip back, you were pretty sure you caught that maybe whiff of a scent or something that somebody was following you, but you could never actually see somebody.
Okay.
And you're getting that feeling while you're all sitting around talking. And I picked on you mainly because you hadn't said anything yet, and you're the druid. That maybe there's just this thing in the back of your mind that something or someone is watching you.
The druid feels like prey. Makes sense.
Mm.
Okay.
But go on, carry on.
What'd you smell, boy? What'd you smell?
What is it?
Did Timmy fall in a well? All right, go ahead.
Well, first I'd want to ask, what do we have any specifics about the murders, or who was murdered, or why?
Well, we know that
anybody that gets in their way.
We know that the Red Hand's been gathering enough evidence to use against the king to bring him in a public case. That's what they've been doing.
And they want to bring him down without killing him.
And because some of this was typed, I'll fill in a couple of things that you guys would have heard in the conversation. So the whole thing about a public case is they want to make sure that the kingdom rebels against the king, not just some, kangaroo court type of thing. They don't want to just try and bring him in on charges. They want it to be publicly known. That's the point of the public case.
So basically, they're overthrowing.
That's the idea is
coup d'etat.
Yes. They want the public to rebel against the king, not just some judge to say, yes, the king did something wrong.
And they want our help to find the proof that they need. And as far as people that he's killed, Phyllis is at least one of them.
I mean, he personally killed these people?
Or had them killed. Same thing. He's asked you to kill Belinda.
And so the first bullet on that email, they're called the Band of the Red Hand because they caught the king red-handed in murder. What happened at that time, and that the rest of it would be, Belinda was involved with the king in going to accost somebody, and this was years ago. And during that time, the king got upset and killed the person. And Belinda was there as part of it, so she couldn't just rat him out because she would have been implicated since she was there at the time. So since then, they've called themselves the Band of the Red Hand because he was caught red-handed doing something he shouldn't have been doing. And now they're trying to find enough evidence in all of the other things they believe he's done.
So, I mean, that explains why Belinda had her cover story. Why she lied to me. But, I don't know, it all seems pretty plausible.
I mean, also, if she's trying to overthrow the king, they would probably come up with things that make the king look
Interestingly,
bad.
she doesn't want to she doesn't want to supplant the king. She wants a successor, one of the king's family, to take over.
And there is a successor.
Now, I would say that Fritzy, being from around Kingsbury and hanging out there, it is not public knowledge that there's any successor. The king has no heir.
Huh. I have heard of no success. I wonder what she would have to gain from a successor taking the king's place.
Getting rid of a corrupt king. And it's not many people know the king has a nephew, and his nephew sits as he's one of the knights of Kingsbury. But
did we get a
it's
name
not
from her?
generally known, but there's enough information to prove it.
Did Belinda give us a name for the knight?
It's up to you. That is his name.
Is it the same knight?
Yeah.
Yes. Sir Jean Roddenberry.
And yes, it was Jean who the king said to leave the room before he told you to kill Belinda.
I'm going to lean in and tell my compatriots that I need to go to the restroom
Excuse me, all I need to tinkle.
and that I think we're being watched, and I'll be back as soon as I can. And step outside.
Okay,
and
so let's take a spotlight on Shadrock for now. How do you want to handle this?
I want to either, if there's a place in the Frazzle Mermaid where I can go unseen, I will. If not, I'll go to an alley nearby and try to change into a little mouse. And I want to crawl up into one of the beams across the roof and just sit and see if I can find anyone.
Describe to me how you want to go unseen. Is this like you want to hide in a shadow? You want to slip around a corner? Describe it in the way so that I can tell you what stat to roll against to be unseen.
In order to get to where I can change unseen, I'd simply like to find either a room where I would be alone, or an alley that would be in the shadows, next to the Frazzle Mermaid, if that's possible.
So it sounds like you are intelligently trying to think of the right area to
where
be unseen. So
there won't be a sight line.
Then do me a defy danger with intelligence.
Which is a +0 for me. So
Alrighty.
here we go, baby. Shadrock's not the brightest light in the room. 6.
All right, so first mark an experience. And as far as you know, right outside the door, nobody was watching you. And you turned into a little mouse as soon as you roll your shapeshifter move.
8 plus wisdom is 11.
Okay. So you step outside the door, and when you step out, you look around, there's nobody there. It's one of those points in time where everybody's looking the other way, not even within 20 feet of you. You step out, and you're like, this is a great time. You're a mouse. Now what do you do? Did you mark the experience for the 6?
I did. I nonchalantly get my mouse groove on.
How does a mouse do anything nonchalantly? I need a description.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, make sure.
Oh, yeah.
Describe the
By the
movements,
way,
too.
while I'm in full druid mode here, Joe's dog Jack has been for the last 7 minutes nonstop licking my legs up and down.
He loves him a sweaty leg.
Oh, man.
Gosh. Or a previously sweaty leg. He loves the salt.
Right. And so I am going to just kind of sneak right in the front door, but as close to and then along the walls, in the shadows, so the patrons don't see me and wig out. And then when I get
So what I'm going to ask you to do right off the bat, that's a mouse move. Use a hold for that.
A mouse move.
So you have 3 holds.
I got 2 holds left.
So a mouse trying to scurry unseen so it isn't trod upon, that's a mouse thing. So use up a hold right off the bat.
Right. And then I'm going to intelligently wait until Belinda does something particularly...
This is a nonchalant, intelligent mouse.
It's a nonchalant, intelligent, even though he's a +0 to intelligence mouse. Wait for Belinda to do something...
we don't know it's Belinda.
Sorry, not Belinda. I meant Demaya.
Okay.
Sorry, Demaya to do something either gregarious or attractive, so she may distract a few of the patrons because she's got her facial and she's looking fine.
She's recently coiffed.
So she's already a center of attention, and then when it looks like people aren't looking my way, I'm going to just...
So you say, I got to go potty, and that's her cue to be attractive.
Exactly. She knew what I was talking about.
Okay.
And then
This happens all the
Roll
time.
to know what he was talking about.
hey, Demaya, I gotta go potty. We'll work your magic.
Nice.
And my goal is to get up where no one would be looking at me and I can just scout the room.
All right, so let's take that as your next step. Give me a discern realities. I'm going to be specific about that move. That's one of the basic moves. Do we have a basic move sheet out here for y'all?
I don't think
We
so.
don't.
At me, I know Mike has one. I think I have a spare one. You have it handy? Go
Is
for
that
it.
an intelligence?
It is wisdom.
Wisdom. Oh, that's good for me.
So discern realities in this case, the way I'm treating it is simply you didn't know where someone was. So you're taking their mouse instincts for danger. Right? It's not this isn't intelligence. This isn't how you're looking to spot a specific person. I'm thinking of it as you're intuiting who's after the mouse. So let's try it that way. We're going to do a discern realities, and then you...
9 plus 3 is 12.
All right. So you get to ask 3 questions from that list or something really close to it. One at a time, so that you may change your next question based on my first answer to the first.
I don't know how close I have to be to this question, so
Just
you tell me
pick
if I can
something.
ask it. I want to ask who here would be of danger to me or my friends?
Okay. So what I'll look for there, the way, just so you know, the way I'll interpret that is more of the what should I be on the lookout for?
Right.
Because it's the person, really.
Right.
Simon is outside the door, and it looks like he's holding some sort of like cone to the side of his head.
And Simon was the right-hand man to the king,
Yeah.
not the one who
He was
asked
the
to go outside.
advisor. Right.
Right.
He is also a knight, but he is clearly a knight advisor, not
he's outside
necessarily
the
a
door.
war knight. He's outside the tavern itself. He's just like barely around a corner. It looks like he's holding some kind of cone-shaped thing to his ear.
Okay. What is about to happen?
It looks like he just signaled, and it looks like some more knights are gathering behind him, like off to the side of the entrance of the Frazzled Mermaid. So it looks like he and the knights are probably about to come in the mermaid.
Right.
I made an inadvertent funny. Oh man, go on.
This podcast is for mature audiences. I'm trying to think of something. If there's something close, but not.
I mean, are they even anatomically correct?
Doesn't matter.
It's her name, Eileen. Come on, Eileen.
Can I ask along the lines
in.
of? There's a question on the basic move list. What here is useful or valuable to me? Can I ask instead? Would we have any allies here in a fight against Simon?
In the Frazzled Mermaid, Skinny John is an ally to Fritzy, if nothing else. And there are probably at least a couple of people in the tavern, in the bar area where you guys are, that know Fritzy. So chances are he'd be able to get them on his side. And these are people, like when you first came in here, they're people he chummed around with, or they bought him a drink, or he bought them a drink. So you've got that idea that almost everyone knows him here.
Are weapons allowed in the Frazzled Mermaid?
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing we haven't done is
We're down by the
pull your
docks.
weapons away.
All right, so we're all armed. Okay. I think that's my questions.
Okay.
I need to, as discreetly as possible, get back to my human form, which is going to
Okay.
be difficult because I can't go out the door.
Well, what we can do there is this is an easy one to resolve because as a druid, as the mouse, you can use another mouse move to go sneak into a corner and then poof yourself with your last hold, drop it and turn into a human.
I want to proof myself as often as possible, so I'm going to go in the
Exactly.
corner and do that.
And poof myself.
And then communicate to my friends what I have just learned. And put
Now,
my
as
hand
a
on my
technicality,
shillelagh.
did you make your way to the restroom, or was that all just a ruse?
Was it all
You were
ruse?
supposed to pee.
Did you ever actually go
I
to
did
the
not
restroom?
actually urinate, no.
All right.
No.
This
In
is a
case anyone at
technicality.
home wanted to know. No.
Exactly.
See, I mean,
So-
I was thinking to myself, I was like, why didn't you just drop your napkin, go under the table, do it? And
It's a good question.
He doesn't use napkins. He's the druid.
that's true.
He just transform into an
I
animal,
mean, that
clean it
knight
off.
is outside, and he's going, that man did
In
not pee.
Exactly.
I did not hear pee.
In our dungeon world,
Yeah.
and you'll probably ask me what the answer to this is, but How would people feel about seeing someone randomly transform into a bear or a lion in the middle of a bar?
It would not be a normal occurrence because only the druid can do it.
Is it only
Now,
I
if
can
you-
do it, or can druids generally, like
No,
every once in a
you
while
are
it
the
happens?
only druid.
Yeah, in this world, you are the only person who can do all of that stuff.
Okay.
There might be somebody out there who can shape change into something else, but they can't. They're not sustained by nature. They're not. They can't control elementals later, stuff like that. There may be certain people that can do individual things. Like in this world, there are other magicians,
Right, but I'm the
there
uber
isn't
druid.
another wizard. Right. The same thing with the druid.
Okay.
So you are the only person who can do all that. And if you hung around the place and showed off, then it would become widely known and it wouldn't be a big deal. And people might pay you to change into certain things, right? Like an anteater. I could see that
A
being
mermaid.
cool.
They can come into
An
the
A mermaid.
An aardvark.
Aardvark.
All right.
All right, so you guys have that information. As Shadrock is telling you, kind of in the middle of him telling you, Simon walks in the front door, and behind him are 3 knights, and he points to the table where you guys are, and he says, "There they are. Arrest them."
Say what?
Simon, I was just telling them about our...
Simon says,
I was just telling them about our plan. Well, what's this arrest them?
"Arrest them for suspicion of conspiracy against the king."
Not on my watch.
About that.
So what do you do?
You and what authority?
The
Well, I mean,
king's
except
authority.
except for the king, he is the authority.
You're not getting me.
So Demaya would recognize him from your ride in the carriage, 'cause he was in the carriage there. The only person he probably hasn't seen that much of would be Strong Dawn, although he would have seen him. Just he's seen everyone else minutes longer.
I'm going to stand up and just ask,
Okay.
which one of you wants to die first?
They just approach you as knights would when they're going to arrest somebody.
I
I
tell
mean,
you.
slowly.
Come on, what
I'm like,
grounds?
whoa,
It's
whoa,
not
whoa.
Like, it's not like they have handcuffs or anything.
On what grounds?
right.
Exactly. I stand up, kick my chair back. I'm not getting arrested. What is this? Foolishness.
I have my
Simon,
hands
what are you
up.
talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, these guys are stone cold killers. You gotta give up on this. They're going to murder the hell out of all of us.
Murder the hell out. It's not going to be one of them little murders. It's going to be a big one. So
Can we try to run away?
that's what I'm looking for here. Their intent at this point is to walk up to you and then walk you to the prison. Okay, that's what's going to happen unless you guys do.
You run away.
Can I
I remember
talk him out of
Kingsbury
it?
is a big city. As the thief, you could probably get away. That's
Yeah, I
something
could
you
totally
could do.
get away.
But chances of everybody getting away is minimal. So completely up to you on how you handle that.
Bye, y'all. No.
But you are at this point being confronted by the highest law in the land, saying that you are wanted on conspiracy and you are being arrested.
Do you want to wait until we go outside and then try to run away there? How do you want to play this?
I want to not get murdered, so I would like y'all to stand down. There
All right.
is obviously a misunderstanding here. That I just have to talk. I'll talk with the king, and we'll get on with doing what the king wants to do. So
you will answer questions from the king in your cell.
Yeah, cell. No. Out. Don't you have like a smoke bomb or something? That you
He
could
did
just-
have Taco Bell.
that you could just throw down and obscure, give it some
No, that's
some
has to do with
cover.
my incense.
I do have invincibility, but it's just on one person.
Yeah, so really what I'm
Pretty
looking
wussy for
for
a dude who can do
here
Fireball.
is unless somebody says otherwise, you're going to be starting to walk down the street. You've probably got about a 5-minute walk to get to where the prison cells are. And unless somebody says otherwise, that's how we're proceeding.
Nope, I'm running away.
Okay. So you're just going to slip their grasp and run.
Yep.
All right, give me a dexterity roll. This is going to be defy danger dexterity to see if you are quicker than they are.
No.
Well, what you
Oh
got?
yeah, 9.
9.
Would have been a 10.
So here's the
It
deal.
would have been a 10.
One of them grabs at you as you try to slip away. You can slip away, but he has a handle on your backpack. You are going to lose your equipment if you slip away.
Whatever. Bye.
Okay. So he has pretty much everything you were carrying, just for the sake of that's what you're paying to get away. That's your partial success. You got away. You made it out the door, and you essentially blend into the crowd quickly. And he's standing there holding, like in one hand he's holding your backpack, and the other he grabbed, however you hold your daggers on you, he pulled that, bandolier or whatever off of you, and he's holding that in his other hand, and he's like,
All right, well, while he's doing that, I'm going to bull rush through them.
Okay.
So just going to straight on.
And you're just going to push him out of the way.
Just going to push everything out of the way.
That sounds like strength. Let's try that.
That's a complication.
Tell me why.
Well, because
remember, restate the move that you're doing and how you're using it so that we can refresh ourselves.
Actually,
He's thinking.
Yeah,
no, this one wouldn't apply. I would not be able to use my Herculean appetites.
All right, so then give me a
one.
re-roll with regular 2d6.
Yeah.
So what JJ was doing, from the Barbarian, there's a starting move called Herculean Appetites. And when
That's
he's
a shiny
pursuing one
dice.
of his appetites, he gets to roll a d6 and a d8 instead of 2d6. In this case, though, he's not doing that. So we're doing 2d6 plus the strength modifier, which is a total of
10.
10. All right, so Strong Dawn takes advantage of the temporary distraction and
And this
pushes
is
his way
actually
straight
because
through them.
of when you defy danger caused by movement, maybe falling off a narrow bridge or rushing past an armed guard, take +1. I
And
have a
that-
9 plus that 1.
So that's an advanced move. What's the name of that one?
That one's called On the Move.
On the move. So we did just use an advanced move from the Barbarian class. Cool. All right, so... Indeed. So you added that +1 to your roll?
And that gave me a 10.
Good. So that's a good example of where an advanced move allows you to have a complete success instead of a partial one. So you push past them. One of them, the one actually holding Demaya's equipment, falls down on the floor, and you get out into the street. And you just bolt off in one direction or the other?
Bolt for the docks and dive into the...
Okay. So it'll take you a minute or two to get there, but you head in that direction. Between Fritzy and Shadrock. Fritzy had his hands up.
Are you trying to get away?
Yeah, Fritzy had his hands up to comply with the officer's requests. The others didn't get shot in the back as they ran.
So have anyone chased them off? Or
No, they got through. Pretty much they both bolted. So Demaya bolted, and within a second, she bolted, and the guard is standing there holding her stuff. And at that point, Strong Dawn says, "My turn." Off he goes. Right. So we are approximately 5 seconds into them about to walk you guys out of the bar.
Right. So the room is starting to get crazy.
It is,
and
but only a few seconds. At this point, like Skinny John, the bartender, and a few of the other patrons turned to look at what was going on, but it's only now that they're shocked at what's going on.
Right. So Shadrock is actually sitting at the table as calm as can possibly be, which is out of place here. I mean, things are starting to get crazy, and he is preternaturally calm.
Good use
because
of the word
all
preternatural.
he knows is that he will not be put in a cage.
Okay.
With certainty. So he asks Simon on what grounds or with what evidence could there possibly be conspiracy when we are acting at the direct request of the king?
You will answer those charges from your cell.
Knowing that I will not. However, I'll simply stand
Okay.
calm, and my intent is to follow them out
Okay.
into the street.
And Fritzy,
As long as they don't try to...
Yes.
Sorry, as long as they don't try to chain or handcuff me.
Okay. They won't. I mean, they don't have any way to, or they didn't bring anything to bind you. Essentially, I mean, obviously they followed you back from the king. You had a few minutes to talk amongst yourselves, and then they came in to grab you. And they were just going to escort you. So you've got about a 5-minute walk there. Does anybody, I'll give both Demaya, Strong Dawn as a group. We'll treat you guys as a group for now, and then the same with Shadrock and Fritzy. During this 5-minute walk of shame down the street to where the prison is on the opposite side of the docks, who wants to do anything? And if
do
so,
you turn
what?
into anything as we're walking?
I mean, unless you say something, I am not going in a cell. So if you do not take an action, I will be conspicuously and without trying to hide it, transforming into something.
Okay, what is that something?
If it were just me,
A
it
mountain
would be
lion.
it would be an eagle, and I
Yeah.
would simply fly away. But because I'm with my
With
boy
a big
Fritzy,
squawk.
although I am a little disheartened by his lack of courage in the face of authority, particularly for a dude who can throw a fireball.
I like it.
If he's taken no action, halfway there or 2/3 of the way
Mhm.
there, I'm going to transform into a dire wolf,
Interesting.
Dire wolf.
Okay.
or the largest wolf that I've ever seen.
Is that
in
going to
nature.
happen, Fritzy? Are you going to take no actions till you're about halfway there?
If they get distracted by him turning into a dire wolf, I will cast invisibility on myself.
Okay.
And I'll look at the one guy as I'm doing it and go, "We were helping the king. This is on you." And then I just disappear.
So let's take it in a sequence. What I'm going to do is first, Shadrock, make your roll for your shapeshift. And let's see how that turns out.
6 plus wisdom is 9.
9. Okay, so that gives you, I
Three
believe,
holds.
two holds, I think, for a 9. 10
holds.
is 3. So, poof, you're a dire wolf. What I want to say is that both Strong Dawn and Demaya would have the option to see this. I would almost, to me, it's almost assured Demaya would. She would have been watching it as soon as she got out there. Strong Dawn, you had mentioned you'd be running towards the dock. Up to you whether you want to be a part of this or not, or just you would be bolting to the dock.
If I saw there was no pursuit, I'd turn around and watch.
Okay. So at this point, both of you would see Shadrock turning into a wolf, maybe 4 feet high at the haunches. Probably a pretty darn big wolf.
Right before I turn into the wolf, I yell, "Winter is coming!"
I don't get it.
Very nice.
So I want to give you guys a chance to act, and Fritzy immediately after. Or pretty much simultaneous on the street, but as far as at the table.
I'm going to do a fist pump.
All right.
And
Demaya,
Demaya's just going to watch and
Okay.
see, kind of just
roll
absorb
that
it
invisibility spell. Fritzy.
Demaya's going to go steal her shit back.
pretty much.
It's not a failure this time.
Nope, but it's an 8.
Okay. So give me your 7 to 9 option for your cast a spell move to let me know how this works out.
I think I have to forget it.
Okay. So you'll forget invisibility and turn invisible, and you say, right as you're turning invisible, what was that?
I say, "We were helping the king. This is on you." And then I just disappear as I point.
Okay. Then the next thing I'm going to ask, so both Strongdaw and Demaya see that. They're going to reach for where you were. Are you going to try to not be there anymore?
Oh, yeah. As soon as I'm invisible, I'm moving.
Then I
like,
need a
away.
dexterity roll from you to get away from them, because you're invisible, but you're not insubstantial.
Here
What?
is
What?
where I
There
fail.
the dice go. No, you didn't.
7.
Okay. So somebody brushes your arm as you get away, and they start chasing in the direction that they think you went based on the brushing of your arm. So we had Simon and 3 knights, and 2 of the knights are heading in the direction that you are currently running.
Right.
Shadrock, you have 1 knight and Simon still there, both kind of wary about this guy who just turned into a big-ass wolf.
would
What's
hope
your
they're more
next?
than kind
What's
of
your
wary.
next step? And Strongdawn and Demaya, think about what you're doing at this point too. 2 knights just chased after, probably Fritzy because he
Maybe.
turned invisible. The big wolf is about to bark.
How far are we
I'm gonna
from?
lick their leg for 7 minutes.
How far do we think that Fritzy is from where Demaya and Strongdawn are?
As the wolf, I will let you use a hold to catch his scent to know where he is. Otherwise, you have no idea. Because, well, he just went invisible. And invisible is as invisible does.
Yeah, I guess I'll use a hold to.
Okay.
To
So,
smell,
Fritzy, did you
to smell
run?
Fritzy.
Did you run right or left?
I ran to the right.
He's running away from where Strongdawn and Demaya are.
Okay, there's no knights.
I'm going to let you get all that scent at once. You know where your companions are. Your companions are to the left. Fritzy went to the right. What you want to do about it?
I'm not sure what's to be gained by attacking the knights.
Instant death
Yeah.
for one or the other.
I am going to run to Demaya and the Strong Don to where they are and nuzzle Demaya's leg.
Okay.
You're gonna give me away.
They let you go because apparently they don't want to tangle with the big ass wolf.
Giant wolf. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, sorry, were you hidden?
Well, she
as
was hidden,
as she normally.
but there's a huge distraction going on.
Yeah.
Right.
All right,
okay.
so they're probably, regardless of who you go to nuzzle up against, they're looking at you,
Right.
or they're looking at the knights who are chasing the guy who just turned invisible.
Right. I mean, my idea is I want to be with my party, and I'm going to go with them.
Okay.
But I'm keeping an eye on knowing where Fritzy is, and if he needs rescuing, that's my intent is to do that.
All right, so we'll say that, I mean, it's the opposite side of the street where Strong Don and Demaya are. Fritzy, are you going to continue to run away from them? Because they start off right after you.
Definitely.
So if you want to try and
If
split their tail, describe to me how you do it so we know which stat to roll against.
I'm going to try to step out of the way, maybe into the entrance of a shop or something,
Okay.
so that I'm just moved out of the way enough that they don't run into me, and then I just sort of like freeze, and they just run on by, so then I can casually walk the opposite way.
Invisibly, casually.
Yes.
It's kind of like
I'm
an
not-
intelligent mouse.
I'm not running, so a casual walk the other way.
All right, so I'm still thinking that's going to be dexterity based on how you described it, unless you can convince me otherwise.
I mean, if that's what you want me to roll, that's
No.
fine.
I
but,
want you to convince me with what you want to roll. I just want to be convinced.
I think that him finding a place out of the way and stepping at the moment and freezing at the right moment would be like using his smarts.
So you're going to then... So
Gotta
I would
time
word
it.
that as...
Yeah.
To
Gotta
convince
time
me, I would word it as you are looking for the ideal time and place to make that turn.
Right.
Because
To
you know
to
you
duck
can't
out of
turn
the
on
way.
a dime.
Right.
This boat don't turn on a dime. Therefore, I'm going to look for the right spot, the right time.
Yeah, I don't want to be like
There you
ducking
go.
in when someone's coming out of the
So
shop.
that's how you
and-
convince Joe to go ahead and roll against intelligence.
All right. It hasn't been helping tonight, but
Let's see
we'll
what
see.
happens.
Joe, just for my planning purposes, if I use my other hold,
That's
do
good,
I
though.
do I immediately revert to human form, or
When your last hold is used, you become you return to your normal form.
can I?
Now you'll get the thing you wanted, but it'll happen and you'll immediately become human again in Shadrock's case. So if you said as a wolf you wanted to pounce on someone to knock them down, you would knock them down and turn into a human on top of them. If you say I want to track Fritzy's scent, you would know where he is, turn into a human, and then try and follow that trail.
and there's no way for me to. I can't roll to get more holds while I'm an animal. I have to revert and then roll again.
You do the shape changer move again, shapeshifter move again.
I want another hold.
You need to roll better. So what'd you end
Well,
up with there,
Invisible
Fritzy?
Fritzy rolled an 11, so
11.
he is solid.
All right. So you as you're going, you see that. Excuse me. There's a shop on the right hand side. It just happens to be a shop where they do fish trading. You're near the docks. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
So they bring in the exotic fish, and this is the guy that that can fillet the blowfish without poisoning you. It's that shop. So it's a specialty shop, and you see that they've left their door open, and you duck into there. The two knights just barrel right past you, scant a hair's breadth away from touching you. And they make their way by and they just keep going. And then you, as you said, nonchalantly and invisibly.
I casually walk out and walk the other way back
Yeah.
toward the way I came.
Okay. So at this point, Simon will grab the other knight and tell him, and you guys could hear this as the wolf, you could hear it. You guys might hear it out on the street. He says, all right, we'll have to come back with more. And he walks with the other knight back towards the keep.
They leave my stuff.
No.
Bastards.
Go steal it.
So they're walking away.
I'm
They're
gonna go steal it back.
Go steal it.
Yes, they're walking back towards the keep.
Go steal it.
Apparently, they're going to come back with a larger force. Yeah, we need more men. Going to need a bigger boat. And they walk off. At this point, I'll let you guys get back together and start hatching whatever your next plan is.
Can't believe you
dun.
took
I feel like
my
I wasted
stuff.
my direwolf transformation there.
No, see, I imagine
All
the
right.
best escape animal would definitely be a hummingbird.
I wasn't planning on escaping. I thought we were gonna. I mean, we always fight.
Yeah.
We fight everything. I was ready to roll.
Yeah, I kind of like the way this one turned out
Yeah.
because it was less of a conflict.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to think of a little bit of a plan now before we break the session, or break it here?
Break
Well-
it here and let's do the planning part next year.
My first order of business is to get
You want your stuff
my stuff.
now, as at least as a an easy route. As long as you've got the coins, you can buy anything you had in town.
the
You may not
principle
want
of
to
the
do that,
matter.
right?
You can
but
pickpocket those coins.
Right.
I mean,
3 minutes.
she might be able to get in the crowd and just steal the stuff right off of those guys.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's my plan.
Do you want to do that?
From the knights that are walking
Yeah.
away, no, they're still too hot. I'd
All
have
right.
to
'Cause
steal.
I was going to say, if you want to try that now, we should do that now before we break. If you want to think about that as a next step.
No, once we break into the
Okay.
I'm
So
gonna
you'll be
steal my
looking
stuff
for
back.
your stuff in the evidence locker.
Absolutely.
All right. So I guess that's where we're going to stop this session for now. And we'll say...
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening.
Don't forget the penis.
After an unfortunate meeting with King Glorin, the party regroups at the Frazzled Mermaid. Simon and the knights show up to arrest them, but the party makes a daring getaway into the streets of Kingsbury. A new plan is needed. Thanks for joining us. The preceding podcast was brought to you by Shedcast. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com.